This is Soliloquy Radio, the podcast that discusses philosophy, spirituality, consciousness, and paths to a positive lifestyle from a non-theistic perspective. So sit back and open your mind. All right, welcome back to Soliloquy Radio with your host, Otis Ayala. And on this episode, we're talking a little bit about love. A little bit about love and soulmates, right? Because this is the new year. And the new year always brings about new relationships, new searches for Mr. and Mrs. Right, because Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And so we're always searching for this idea, this soulmate, this person that's going to make everything fantastic when we enter a relationship. They'll walk into a room and our eyes will meet and time will stand still and all that other hoopla, right? All of that is fantasy. So what we need to do is we need to get that idea out of our head, because nothing about that concept, nothing about that idea is good for you. It is detrimental to the way you see yourself. It is detrimental to the way you see relationships. So we need to get past this, right? So many people are wandering around, constantly searching for soulmates. I did too at one point in my life. We all have. Some of us are still searching for soulmates, but forget it. It is a fruitless search, a fool's errand, because it is a preconceived notion. This preconceived notion is handed down to us mostly in this modern age by corporations, by society, by movies, by books, all so that they can make $1 off of us. Hallmark is a huge perpetrator of this. And we constantly talk about on this podcast, letting go so that you can grow. And this is one of those things that we need to let go. See, the lock, and we talk about locks and keys a lot. The lock in this case is the idea that there is one perfect match out there for you. The idea that that perfect match could provide you with a perfect relationship. And the idea that if only you could just find them, all of your problems would dissolve away and everything would be beautiful from then on forward. That is a bunch of hogwash. There is so much wrong with that idea that it literally borders on insanity. When you sit down and when you think about it, it is literally an insane thought to even believe in something like this. So how did we get to this point that we're believing in a soulmate? How did this idea even come up? Well, for that, we're going to have to do a little time travel, a little step back into time and rewind history to see where this idea actually comes from. You see, the earliest date that this can be even seen is in ancient Egypt. And in ancient Egypt, the god Atum created two other gods, Shu and Tefnu, each with half of a soul. Now, when the Greeks came and conquered Egypt, Plato took this idea of the half-soul idea and he built upon it. And he built upon it and presented it to the Greeks. And he presented it to the Greeks in this fashion. Plato said that the ancient humans had 2 heads, 4 arms, 4 legs. So pretty much they were 2 humans fused together like Siamese twins, if you understand the whole concept, you can kind of picture it in your head. And in this form, ancient humans were very powerful. And Zeus, fearing their power, split them down the middle. And this resulted in the creation of humans and would forever condemn them to spend their lives searching for their other half, their soulmates. So the word soulmates actually comes from back then. So now we fast forward through the ages. we're going to throw into this little pot here. We're going to throw a little bit Shakespearean literature, a dash of Renaissance romanticism, a spoon of Hollywood embellishment, a full cup of Disney magic, and just throw every modern magazine hoopla in there. And here we currently stand, centuries later, believing in a concept that comes from the basis that ancient humans had 2 heads and 4 arms. It would be laughable if only it hasn't led to the detriment of our way of thinking about relationships. I mean, it's almost blasphemous to even think that, with all the understanding that we have of ancient humans, that we would even think that something like this is even remotely true. Now, granted, the metaphysics and the metaphysical and the New Agers have built upon the idea of soulmates and have changed that to other things. But the fact is that the idea of a soulmate comes from Plato and comes from that story. So the problem with soulmates is that there is an inherent statistical problem there. See, there's 7.6 billion people on this planet. Even if you take away all of the variables about different parts of the planet, being born at different times, language, economic, and social barriers, the probability of you even walking by, much less talking or having a relationship with your soulmate, is astronomical. You have better chances playing the Mega Millions. But the main problem with this belief is that you are searching outside of yourself for a solution to your problems. You are searching outside of yourself for joy and for happiness. And whenever we do that, whenever we look outside of ourselves for the essence of things that we should be able to supply, it becomes a fool's errand. See, at that point, you become the donkey pulling the cart. The donkey pulling the cart who's always chasing the dangling carrot in front of them with blinders on, that all you can see is the carrot. And you don't see the rest of the world. You don't see that there's a whole bunch of carrots lying down on the side of the ground. You don't need to chase the one dangling in front of you. But that's how we go through life. You see, joy and the ability to perceive happiness comes from only one place. See, that's ourselves. And you know the saying, you need to love yourself before you love anyone else. And in this case, in the case of relationships, in the case of looking for a partner, a mate, a spouse, this is very, very true. That you need to love yourself before you love anyone else. You see, people are out there and they're looking for Mr. Right. They're looking for that right person, Mr. Right, Mrs. Right. But you know what nobody's doing? Becoming that. Nobody's becoming Mr. Right. Nobody's becoming Mrs. Right. Everybody's looking for that perfect person, but nobody's perfecting themselves to be that person for someone else. But what do we do instead of perfecting ourselves? We buy into the corporate subliminal message. And we buy into that. And what does that do? That makes us buy their products. You see, we're out there constantly feeling that we need something else to make us happy and something else to make us more attractive to get somebody that will make us happy. They tell us you get a faster car, you're going to attract the mate. A better phone, you need more makeup. And that perfect person is going to get you a perfect diamond. And you need a bigger butt, or you need bigger boobs. All so that we can attract an elusive soulmate that we are told is out there for us. And in the end, all of this is just constant subliminal message with one message at the core. And that message is that you are not enough. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You are enough. Don't let anyone, anybody, any corporation, anything feed that into your mind. It is poison. It is toxic. You are enough. But we get onto this concept, right? And we start thinking that we need this soulmate, that we get into a point that we start thinking that all we need is love, that this soulmate, and we're going to love each other. And you understand that love does not complete a relationship. You see, the majority of relationships end for a vast majority of reasons. One of the major reasons is finances. Another reason is in-laws. Another reason is not seeing eye to eye on politics or religion. There is a huge amount of variables that go into making a good relationship. It is not just about your soulmate. So we need to let go of that concept. Why? Because life is not a Jerry Maguire movie. You see, this isn't Hallmark, this isn't Lifetime, and it is not Disney. Life is real, and life is not a Jerry Maguire movie where we need someone to complete us. Nor should you feel the need to have someone that feels that way about you. You only need you to complete yourself. And so, you may be asking yourself, what do I do now? What do I do now if I'm giving up on this search for a soulmate? When we get back, we're going to get into that. You're listening to Soliloquy Radio. You can find this show on any major podcast provider or by simply visiting soliloquy.com and finding your preferred provider link on the listener page. The website will also contain links to the YouTube channel along with Facebook and Instagram pages. Remember to subscribe and leave a review so you never miss an episode. Now, back to the show. So now that you've given up on looking for a soulmate, what are we to do? So here we go. Instead of looking for someone who completes you, look for someone who complements you. See, the idea of completion and complement are quite different. Complete can be defined as making something whole. So the prerequisite being that we are somehow incomplete or not enough, that we are not whole, and that we need someone or something else to make us whole, which is the main reason why people jump from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship, because they feel as they're incomplete without a relationship, without being in a relationship. This is why people jump to drug abuse. They feel incomplete. They join gangs. They join cults. See, they feel incomplete and they're constantly looking for a means to completion. And this is because a lot of the times, for varying reasons, we feel unworthy of love. And the reason we feel unworthy of love is because we feel unworthy of self-love. Because at some point in time, somebody put that thought into our brains. Somebody implanted that seed that we are not worthy of self-love. But once we love ourselves, we can talk about finding someone who complements us. And what is complement? So complement can be defined as to make two or more things better when combining them. So if you don't understand this concept, let's take it on something very easy. So I enjoy toast with jelly. It's pretty good. I mean, jelly, toast, it's a great snack. Other people, they enjoy peanut butter on toast. That too is a great snack. Totally on its own, it's a great snack. But if you take the two and you combine them and you have peanut butter and jelly, two items that complement each other, two items that when they're put together is almost better than the sum of its parts. But yet, if you were to separate them, if you just had the toast with jelly and the toast with peanut butter, it'd be completely fine. But the fact that these two can come together and make something more than the sum of their parts, that is complements. And that's how we have to look at relationships and spouses. See, we can be complete items individually, and we should be complete items